Ready?
Yeah.
How do you own your own sexuality if you're in a long-term relationship? I'm here with Jiminica Eborn from SoJim.com. I'm Kathy Martilli from theintimacydojo.com.
I hurt my neck in the beginning. Don't mind me. How do you own yourself in a relationship? Because I think it's oftentimes you can get lost.
Yeah, it may not be just sexuality. It's overall.
Yeah, and I think it's really important. And I've been talking to friends about it because I haven't had the longest of relationships, but realizing that owning your own sexuality is owning your own sexuality, I think is really important. And I repeated it because sometimes people are like, oh yeah, no, I got it. But then my partner, and it's like, no. This is about you. And sometimes repetition, when you hear it, you're like, oh wait, you're right. How do I connect with my things? Where am I at in this? Not worrying about how do I make this person happy? How are you making yourself happy?
Yeah, as opposed to I think a lot of people fall in relationships, and I've been in them where it's oh, I need to ask, or immediately default you're turning to your partner to see where you want to go together, which I love collaborating. So right. I like to do things together, but I think it's also important to know what maybe your partner doesn't want to express that way, but at least knowing what you want is really important.
I mean, and that's also the hard part, knowing what you want. And in that, I think masturbation is really important to talk about. In relationships, some people may think it's a fizzled thing. Always self-love, always connect with yourself, because as we evolve, your body evolves, and the way sensation may evolve.
Well, I know my erotic fantasies have changed so much over the years too. Partly as I healed from abuse, but also just as I grew, things I used to I'm that doesn't really work for me anymore.
I'm that's boring.
Why was that exciting?
It's true, but it's for yourself. It can be hard because you are in a relationship, and a lot of times you are taught that everything is now a we. Mm-hmm. But I think you're allowed to be selfish sometimes,
especially around sexuality.
Yes. Ask for things. So within owning your own sexuality, and I keep saying it so we can stay focused on what we're talking about, I think it's really important to ask for your needs to be met, instead of just being hey, there's this thing I want to try. Vocalize what you want to try,
and the other person can say yes or no.
Yes, because consent is very important. It would also allowing someone to be oh, I've never thought about that, and supporting the owning of your own body and owning the things you want to try, I think is extremely important. And I know some people are oh, a long-term relationship, what does that mean? What does that mean for you?
I think for me, for shacking up, that's usually pretty long term. You don't have to shack up to have it be long term, but
I like that.
Yeah, but I think when you start automatically going, let me check with, that starts being a little more long term, a little more committed.
Okay.
And everyone gets to define that. For some people, that might be 5 minutes. Some people, that might be 5 years. I know some very free-spirited people that are
free-spirited.
They could have been together 20 years, and it's not really...
They're cool. I mean, we've been together, but yeah, I get it.
So you get to define it for yourself. But I think humans tend to accommodate each other.
Yes, hopefully.
And there's a lot of societal pressure, because back in the day, 100 years ago, you didn't have a lot of choices to get married. If you were a female, you got to marry Tom or Pat or Joe over there. Gross. And Joe... just trying to be funny about it. So you really didn't have a lot of choices, and if the person treated you reasonably well and provided financially or took care of things, you really were stuck.
Yeah.
So it was better at that point to go, okay, you really like the missionary position, me too. There wasn't being resentful or frustrated wasn't really there wasn't a lot of room for people to have different choices. But now people have open relationships, they can have monogamous relationships where they fantasize a lot. There's a lot of different ways people can have expression.
Yeah, and I think that's important also to talk about in a long-term relationship, there's so many different types of relationships, and owning your sexuality may be I am polyamorous and you don't like to do this thing, so I'm going to go ahead and find the person that likes to do the thing. And that's part of owning within yourself being like, this is something I truly like and something that I need. Like, I have friends that are like, my partner's not big into kink and I love them so much and I want to be with them, but also I need that aspect. And that's me taking control of having my needs met. And they find a person that can do the thing and everyone's happy. So I think that's really important, being able to vocalize and figure out. Like I said, it's a process sometimes to be like, oh, I don't know. Well, let me try it. And finding the safe spaces, I think, is also important within your relationship, regardless of how whatever long-term means for you, but like finding that safety to be able to feel good, to own yourself in it. Like having a supportive person, I think, is also important. Like not tagging in like, should I do this? What do you think for me? But like having someone be like, do that.
Yeah, go
do it for you. Yeah, I think it's really important.
Yeah, masturbation, fantasies, there's lots of expressions. And I think this happens in a lot of long-term relationships. We accommodate so much that we're just always doing it the same way. And then relationships can get very stale too.
You're kind of complacent.
Yeah, and like the bedroom, it's like we're always going to do missionary position on Thursday. We're going to fall asleep in front of the TV. Like being aware of ourselves and our desires as they change and we evolve, and our partner does, it keeps it really spicy.
Yeah, I think that's the best part though. Like as you continue to grow and, you know, evolve is one of my favorite words of 2018. As you evolve in your relationship, wants, needs, you know, you may see a new porn out and you're like, I didn't know that was a thing. I want to try it. And your partner may be like, okay, well, I want to support you and we can try it. It may not be their thing, but it's you taking control and be like, I think this may feel good to my body, so I'd like to try it. You may try it and be like, you know what? It actually was not what I thought it was going to be, and I don't like that at all. But that's okay. But that's a part of owning it. It's like trial and error. And even in like I said, the different relationships, if you have a primary partner or however you identify, because there's so many gamuts of relationships, and if it doesn't work with that one person and you love them, but find something or someone to support your needs. Yeah, I think it's important.
I just want to add, Monique Darling has a really fun way to figure out if you're not sure what actually turns you on anymore. Like if you've been in a relationship, she recommends finding a book with a lot of naughty sections and getting a highlighter and go through and you highlight it in one color, the things that turn you on, and then you give it to your partner and they highlight it in a different color. What turns them on.
Well, that's a fun activity.
Yeah, and then you can look at where the highlights overlap and explore that, and then kind of all look, oh, you want to do that, or you want to fantasize about that. Let's try it.
And also, I think that's very helpful because a lot of people are shy and are afraid of rejection. And like there is rejection still in owning your own thing. But if you're, you know, long-term relationships, you're like, I still want to own my thing, but I want to connect with my partner. I think that's a fun idea. I like that.
So thanks, Monique, for that.
Little boop. Yeah, that little gift.
So we'd love to hear questions, comments. Have you struggled with this, owning your own sexuality and your identity as you get into a relationship?
As you evolve in your relationships.
Yeah. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.